Coming up on This Week in Radio Tech, we are live in Hollywood at Hollywood and Vine at the W Hotel for the Worldwide Radio Summit. I got some great guests here and a lot more. It's all coming up on This Week in Radio Tech.
This Week in Radio Tech is brought to you by the new Ruby console from Lavo. See Lavo in your future at lavo.com/TWiRT. And by the award-winning Telos Infinity IP intercom system. Plug and play, seamless, scalable, and matrix-free. Telos Infinity is the AOIP intercom solution that changes everything.
Hey, welcome into This Week in Radio Tech. It's your show where we talk about all kinds of things from the microphone to the light bulb at the top of the tower. We've got a fun show today because we're live in Hollywood, California at the Worldwide Radio Summit. This is where a lot of programmers, program directors, programming experts, visionaries, even a guy from Ford Motor Company has been here talking about the future of car radios, where all that's going. And I'm out here supporting the Telos Alliance and also the folks at Broadcasters General Store. And BGS has graciously loaned us some space on their desk. In fact, we kind of took it over. So thanks a lot, BGS. Really appreciate that. So that's where we are. We're going to talk to Joe Knapp in just a minute. But first, I want to bring in my co-host who is not in Hollywood. It's Chris Tobin. Hey, Chris, welcome in, buddy.
Well, hello there. Yeah, no, I'm not at Hollywood. I'm at the home office today in New York City. So it's a quiet day for me. Although it's very warm. So the weather is the same as yours.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it was a little bit cool here, actually. What, it was about 65 degrees?
I haven't
66?
been outside.
Yeah. It was it was cloudy yesterday, which I got a Lyft or Uber ride yesterday, and the driver was complaining, it's so cloudy. Dude, but it's nice in lots of ways. Southern California.
Yeah.
So we're here in Hollywood. We're right near the corner of Hollywood and Vine, very famous corner. And there's the whole, the Walk of Fame, they call it out there?
The Walk of Fame, the stars.
Yeah. And we're at the W Hotel, which is the site of the Worldwide Radio Summit. And maybe in a little bit we can get Matt or Joel Denver or somebody over here to talk about that. But right now, I've been excited to talk with Joe Knapp for quite some time. Oh, by the way, I should mention our show This Week in Radio Tech is brought to you by our friends at the Telos Alliance. Really appreciate their sponsorship. Also, our friends at Lavo. If you go to their website, lavo.com/TWiRT is the place to go. They'll know we sent you, and you'll be taken right to the radio stuff at lavo.com/TWiRT. All right, so here we are with Joe Knapp. Chris, you know Joe Knapp, don't you? MusicMaster? Uh-oh. No audio.
Well, we've met a couple of times. Yeah, I know who he is. Yep.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I was introduced to MusicMaster software back, must have been in the mid-'80s, maybe the late 80s. When was it exactly? I think in the late 80s at Rock 98 in Memphis.
Oh, wow.
And Brad Young was our program. Yeah. And he works now for WideOrbit, which is right next door here. And Brad was and Rob Sidney.
Sidney.
Yeah, they were familiar with
cool. Yeah, that's quite a ways back. That's shortly after it was born.
So, Joe, you're the founder and president of MusicMaster Scheduling. Yeah,
I am.
Yeah. Can you give us how did that come to be? What made you thought, hey, I can write some software to schedule music?
Well, I had been scheduling the music by hand for the radio station in Milwaukee, and I was the chief engineer, but I had a programming background. I kept going back and forth from programming to engineering because I'd get the bug to go on the air.
Uh-huh.
I'd go on the air, I'd get fired, and I'd go back to engineering, where you never get fired.
Right.
So I was the director, Steve Schramm. He knew that I had a programming background. He was letting music for the next day, and I was very meticulous about it. I would spread out all these cards on the table, and I'd work for 3 hours and put together 24 hours of music. And I was teaching myself computer programming because it was a hobby back then.
Oh.
I mean, the IBM PC had just come out in 1979, and I had a Commodore and just a toy, and I decided that I was going to write every piece of software I ever was going to write it myself. So I was writing little game programs, and I thought I'm going to get the computer to do some of this work for me because I can cut my time down that I spend. The general manager said, "Your little toy computer is not going to cut it." He said, "We've got an Ohio Scientific Challenger 8P that's collect us because we replaced it with a Shack T80.
Okay.
The cutting edge. This is going to be the future of the Radio Shack TRS-80. Where are they now? I can't. Okay. So anyway,
Come and go, man.
he said, you can have this. So I took it home and I read all the books and I figured out how to program it.
What was the language?
It was Ohio Scientific Basic.
Okay. So it had an interpreter then to interpret
it was an interpreted BASIC, and it was I think the thing had 64K of RAM because my little Commodore only had 16K of RAM, and it had a soft hard drive that was like a garbage can lid that you put down in and turn to lock it in place. That was 5 megabytes.
Wow.
It was a whopper, 5 megabytes. So it was a challenge, but it took me about 3 months, and I had music scheduling. And I invited the PD over to my house, and I said, hey, you want to see something cool? And he's looking at these music coming out of the print, the old dot matrix.
Right, yeah.
Zzz,
Yep. I saw those at
the green and white bars on the paper, the little strips along the side for the pin feed. And he's watching, and he says, let's get this in my car. We got to get this down to the station. We're going to put this on the air tomorrow. So that was the beginning of it. That was 1983.
Wow. So thinking about, and we're going to get to Joe's love for high quality audio in a minute, because Joe's got a story to tell about his own media room, and I want to tell you about that. It's so cool, and it's great. We're still packed about all, but how did you kind of figure out the algorithms to use to schedule music? What
Well,
and what started out to be important, and what then became important?
I'd like to say I invented that, but actually what I did was I took what was the manual system and I put it in the computer. I created a control loop, and it was basically doing what I was doing manually.
Okay.
So there were several methods, but one of the most popular at the time was to have card files with 3x5 index cards, one for each song.
Sure.
And you would sort through these. You would start from the front of the file, find an appropriate record to play it, and put it in the back of the file. And that was your rotation.
Yep.
And you would have several files with numbers of cards in each one. That was your categories.
Right.
And so you'd get this constantly changing mix. Well, there's one thing a computer can do really well is manage a stack and rotate that stack. So I thought, okay, all we need to do is add some rules. And I didn't know that there were other scheduling systems out there. We were doing it by hand because that's what everybody did that I knew. But it turns out that RCS was by about 3 or 4 years. Theirs ran on a mini computer that cost $25,000, so it was only in the larger markets. And mine was running, when I finally got it finished, it was running on an Ohio Scientific Challenger AP, which nobody hardly owned. So we used it ourselves for about a month, and the program director said, I've got a friend in Detroit who's got another one of these computers. Would you like to sell your program to him? And I said, sure, I'll give him a copy. He said, no, you should charge money for it. You spent a lot of time writing it. I said, what do you think of $50? And he said, let's go to lunch. And so I had lunch with him. He says, you should actually charge more. I think you can get $3,000. So when the guy called me, I chickened out and I said, well, 1,000? And he said, where do I send the check?
Oh, wow.
And I right away thought maybe I should have asked for 3,000. So anyway, I used that $1,000 to buy a Radio Shack TRS-80.
Yeah.
And I ported the program over to that. So I had to learn a new Tandy Basic. And that was finished soon. And then I suddenly had 13 or 14 more sales.
Just give me what's been the interaction of engineers who this program, This Week in Radio Tech, is geared for? What's been the interaction typically of engineers with programmers who need to run MusicMaster?
Well, there's a lot of connection because we have an open API on MusicMaster, and we have a connection through that API with lots of third-party software. So like WideOrbit, for example, and RCS Zeta, and BE and Enco, all of these guys have a real-time connection with MusicMaster. Their software talks to our software through the APIs in real time. So the engineers are basically setting that up, setting the equipment up for that, and then being the administrator of the network.
So if you have an API, so let's say I'm a disc jockey running, let's say RCS Zeta, and I say, I don't want that song. I want to choose a different song. Or I got a theme going this hour. I want to choose a song about love in the rain.
Oh yeah.
Are there still some rules that will allow me to choose some things instead of others?
That's actually the beauty of it.
Okay.
Because if you're using, let's say, WideOrbit, and you're in the studio, you can bring up the MusicMaster wizard, which they wrote. That talks to our software, to our business intelligence through the API, and it allows them to pick the best, a perfect song based on all the rules, all the histories. So they say, I need a different song here.
Okay.
It'll give them a choice of 5 or 10 or 25 songs.
Okay.
Any one of those songs that they choose is perfect.
They're acceptable for that location.
Acceptable for that rule.
Okay.
For that, they're from the right category. They pass all the rules. They can also ask for songs based on a criteria, like I need a song less than 3 minutes. And it'll, again, find songs that pass all the rules. So that's actually the great thing about it, because in the past, if they needed a different record, they would have to call the music director. Music director would run to his computer, find one, and say, play this one instead.
So I'm curious, Chris Tobin is the engineer for a jazz station, WBGO. Now, the whole reason, or one reason for music scheduling software, is to make sure you're always playing a song that's good and appropriate for the day part, for the mood, for the feeling, that you're not repeating songs. Some people don't want to play two female artists back to back. You have a lot of things that may go into what you are scheduling, and there may be even more sophisticated algorithms nowadays than those things. Pandora, I'm sure, has some that based on mood and feeling and the feel of the song. Chris, at your station, a station like yours, I would imagine that music scheduling software is not used or rarely used. What's it like at a jazz station?
Well, I can't speak for other jazz stations, but I can speak for ours. We do not have a music scheduling software. We're actually, it's based on the announcers know what there's a booklet. The program director has a whole process, and it's done manually, I guess is the way to put it, because the music selection the depth of the music, as you know, the 5,000 CDs we have, there's a lot of stuff that a lot of the music libraries that you can purchase or transferring the metadata is not available. So we've had to stay with the manual process so we can get the nuances that you enjoy. And there's a clock they follow, so they don't have females back to back or too many instrumentals in one row. There's a few guidelines, but if the section of the clock says female current, then you have a choice of a lot to go with, and you go to B-sides, second deep cuts on a CD, and we've discovered a lot of the stuff is no longer available if you go to these libraries and say, let me do this, because we do a lot of work with the music databases like iTunes and a few others. Believe it or not, we play music that they have no record of because it's not popular. But it's of course, because remember, it's based on they go with the charts, they go with stuff that's popular. So there's a lot of things that as much as we'd love to use a music software selection, select music type selection application, it probably would take more energy than it's worth to get to the depth that we're at.
Well, I know that kind of radio really well, because that's the radio I was doing before I wrote the software. I'd go to the wall and grab the next vinyl record to play while the last vinyl record was playing. And so that was music scheduling for me when I was a DJ. And it's very creative, and you can either pre-plan your show and you can select music, and it's sort of like you're creating, you have a blank canvas and you're creating a painting. And radio broadcasters today just don't have time for that. And a jazz station or a classical station, maybe you do. But surprisingly, we have hundreds of jazz stations and hundreds of classical stations using MusicMaster, and they still manually build their show. But they use MusicMaster to basically keep track of the metadata in the library, to set up rules to remind themselves, don't do this or don't do that.
Yeah.
Or, oops, you're about to play too many sax-based records in a row. Or too many instrumentals in a row. So they can use it as a kind of guardrails. So even though they're manually building the log, they have the computer there keeping track of what they're doing and remembering everything that was done. You have a history in MusicMaster of everything you ever played, everything you ever scheduled, all the way back to the beginning of time. There's a good reason to build your jazz show manually. There's also a good reason to use a computer to do it.
So I told folks earlier in the show that we would talk about your love for super high fidelity music, even to the point where you almost believe the singer is right there in the room. that I mean, really, is it live or is it Joe Knapp's setup? So, would you regale us a bit with what you told me earlier today about your home theater setup?
Sure, I'd love to. Actually, I love bragging about this thing. It just got the finishing touches put on it. I had help from Star Power in Dallas, Fort Worth area. They're really good folks, and I'm not getting paid for that. But we built this room, and the Star Power guy, who's like their guru of high tech, he came over to help tweak everything up, and he sat in it, and he said, Joe, this is not the biggest room in Dallas, Fort Worth. This is not the most expensive one, but this is the best one. He said, I'm more than a little jealous.
He said it about your media room.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
at your house.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically all it is really is a 24.4.4 Dolby Atmos with JBL speakers all around.
Okay. What does that number stand for? 24.4.4?
Well, there's 24 channels, 4 woofers, and 4 speakers in the ceiling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's 2 left and right in front, 2 woofers left and right in back. There's 4 speakers to give you a 360 sound up in the ceiling. And I went a little overboard, but I got a good deal. So I went a little overboard and I went crazy. And I was going to build a second room for 2-channel audiophile and stereo playing vinyl records, really.
Right.
And I decided instead of doing construction, I'll try to fold that into the same room. And originally I was going to try and use the same speakers, but actually that's not really recommended. So I got a Mark Levinson integrated amplifier, which are brand new. They just came out like a month ago. And it was built to use these Revel Tower speakers. And you just have two tower speakers. Those are sitting in the front, in between all of the speakers that are used for the media.
Okay.
For the home theater, these guys are sitting there too. So when you come in, you see a wall of speakers.
Is your wife cool with all these speakers?
Well, she wasn't at the beginning. She was wondering, why are you building all this? Why are they carrying all this crap upstairs into this video?
Yeah.
But we've watched a few movies now.
Is she a convert?
She's a definite convert. There's a movie, Cloverfield or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a car accident in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
It starts and stops. It scared her so much she was like jumping and shrieking. She was like, "Whoa, what?" And now she says things like, "I don't think we can go back to the theater."
So you described the fantastic sound of the system, how many watts it is, and you've got a beautiful screen and a laser projector and all this.
Yeah, there's a 4K laser projector.
The question that comes to mind is your home theater playback gear in a way as good or maybe better than a movie would actually be produced? Or are you just getting to the level of their equipment that they used to actually produce the movie in the first place?
I don't know if you can get better than the source. Like no matter how good your stereo system is, it's not going to sound better than it did when you were sitting in the studio live, hearing them play. But I swear sometimes I'm listening to this and I've heard a couple of songs. There was one that I was testing it with Jennifer Warnes, and it's called Ballad of the Runaway Horse. And it's a fairly acoustic beginning. And I'm sitting there thinking, if I close my eyes, she's in the room with me. She is right here in this room. I feel like I could touch her.
You mentioned a streaming service that is linear, I believe.
There's a thing called Blue Sound. It's fairly new. I had not heard of it before, but I saw an ad for it, and I got one right away. And it's basically a hard drive integrated to a streaming utility. And if you put a CD into it, it will rip the CD, correct any error, save it on the hard drive. So when you listen to the high-quality CD from the hard drive, it actually sounds better than it would off of a good CD player. So that's in the system. And I've also got a laser turntable that uses 5 blue lasers. It was made by a guy in Japan. I think, the second guy in America to have one. When the guy was trying to sell it to me, his English is not that good. And he said, "I'll give you the number who bought it." So I called this number, and I'm talking to this, and he said, "Yeah, I use it all the time." He said, it sounds great, and it never touches the record. The lasers reflect off. It's analog. it reflects off the surface of the record back to photocells.
Sure.
At the end of this, I said, well, thanks a lot for your help. And by the way, who are you? And he said, oh, my name is Steven Spielberg. Okay.
I've heard of it.
I've heard of it. So he has one.
Wow.
And I have one. I'm not even, well, it's elp.com if you want to see what it looks like.
So in this world today, and Chris, chime in if you would, in this world today where iPod or smartphone music is so easy to come by, a lot of music is AAC encoded, but almost everything we buy or use nowadays is bitrate reduced at some point. You can still go linear. I guess what I'm wondering is it worth the effort and money that you've put into it? I mean, obviously you're probably happy with your purchase, but I mean, it just seems like a lot of the stuff we have is entertainment quality, and it's really good, but it's certainly not perfect. And you're talking about something that borders on absolute perfection.
Yeah, and it's a hobby. I mean, there have always been people who have been audiophiles who want to try and achieve close to perfection audio, but it's not really for everyone. There's a lot of people who just enjoy listening to the music with their earbuds, and for them, that's fine. I just wanted to see how good could it be, and I think it's my radio background, my radio engineering background, because when I was in radio for years, I was meticulous about audio processing, and so I was not as good as Frank Foti, let's say, but I didn't create a company around it, but I created this other company.
Yeah.
So I'm not putting myself down, but when you have somebody like me or Frank Foti or Corny or something like that, we're hearing music, I think, a different way than ordinary people. And so we're basically like interested in this stuff. So we're going to maybe spend a little extra money.
We need to have it back on for the whole hour because we could easily talk for an hour. Chris, do you have any last minute questions for Joe before he has to go and catch a plane?
No. He's touched everything. No, he's spot on about the audio files and those who prefer earbuds over, say, of a headphones or a high end system. So no, he's absolutely right. I agree.
Well, thanks for being back there at the headquarters, Chris, and thanks to TELUS for supporting this. What was the other sponsor?
Lavo.
Lavo.
Yeah,
yes,
TELUS and Lavo.
Thank you very much.
Joe, thank you for your time. We'll shout out to your wife. Hey, thanks for sharing Joe with us. Appreciate it. Joe, I'll take your head. If you want to go get our next guest over at the Vox Pro booth.
Over there.
Yeah, over at Vox Pro.
Thank you.
That'd be great. Thank you, Joe. Take care. All right, you're watching This Week in Radio Tech. We are live in Hollywood at the W Hotel at the conference of the Worldwide Radio Summit. And there's been this is where programmers get together, talk about really amazing ideas. I was in a session this morning that was pretty darn impressive as to what people have as ideas for. Here, tell you what, I'm gonna do-si-do with you and get over here. This is Chris Crump. He's gonna be with us next. Yeah. Was that be all right? Oh, wait, look at both of you guys on. Yeah, come on in. Tell you what, we do need to take a quick break and hear from our sponsor, my friends at the TELUS Alliance. So let's be right back.
Hi, I'm Martin Deister, Vice President of Business Development and Product Director for TELUS Infinity IP Intercom System. TELUS Infinity is different to any other intercom system because it's the first IP intercom system that doesn't have a matrix. Great communication within the broadcast environment is essential to TV and radio production. With TELUS Infinity, you can link all your production crew, whether it's the director in the production control room, sound guy in the booth, boom operator on the floor, your anchors in the studio, presenters out in the field, weatherman, even your weatherman. Production staff listening to communications audio are hearing crystal clear sounds. It means the nuances of the people communicating with them can be heard all the time. Everything is crystal clear and accurate. The master intercom panels that we've created include multicolor LCD switches. You can use color coding to group IFBs, to group production crew members, your remotes, anybody else. Matrix-free intercom means low cost of entry, low cost of design, low cost of installation from the get-go. With TELUS Infinity, you start saving money the moment you install it, and you continue to save money for the life of the product. The same benefits that broadcasters all around the world have found by using audio over IP now apply to intercom for the very first time. Never before have you been able to communicate using program quality audio simply by connecting two devices into a network switch. It truly is plug and play. Programming an intercom system has never been easier than it is with Telos Infinity. With our advanced dashboard programming utility, you can have your intercom system out of the box and up and running in record time. I'm Martin Deister, inviting you to visit telosalliance.com to learn more about Telos Infinity Broadcast Optimized Intercom System, the first matrix-free IP intercom system optimized for broadcast.
Thanks a lot to the Telos Alliance for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. And I'll tell you, the Telos, the Infinity IP intercom, simply amazing because it does away with this expensive matrix that usually goes in the middle of it. Hey, we're back here at the W Hotel. Chris Tobin is in New York. And Chris,
Hi, Chris.
Chris, we got Chris Crump here and then Jay Teller.
Just to make it confusing for you, Chris. So time and Chris will be like three at the same time. Sorry.
So guys, here at this Worldwide Radio Summit, we have a message for programmers that they can improve their on-air product, their streaming product, their audio content with some tools that are made by different manufacturers. And Chris, you've got something to talk about that people should know about.
Well, we've been talking for a little while. It's a technology based on some WebArch, which is into all available web browsers that are out there. So if you have Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, you have Edge, there are the audio codecs actually built into the browser. So if you got it, you've got 7 billion endpoints that could potentially connect to you.
Almost one for every person on the planet.
Almost.
Yeah.
And probably, I mean, if you really start counting mobile phones, laptops, MacBooks, all that stuff, they're everywhere. Are you making fun of me over there?
No.
Okay, just checking.
Do we want that many broadcasters? So
No. You just want the ones that you want in the air.
Okay.
We developed this product called Opal, which is an Opus audio gateway. An Opus code.
Now, my uncle used to drive an Opal.
Really? Opal GT.
I think it was a GT.
Correlation with which is now defunct.
But yours.
No. It's and it's
Let's
it's shot like an open. You can see it right here. So this is Opal,
And it has an O on the top.
It has a big O on the top.
It stands for Opal.
Yeah, right. No, it does not stand on it. So it has two inputs, two audio outputs. They have two at the same time. But the whole concept is you create a link, you send it to guests, they just click on it from a web browser on a computer or on a smartphone.
Where do you get the link from to send to somebody?
They create it in the device.
So you browse into this device.
Right. You go into what's called the toolbar. You create an invite in the invite section, and you can name it.
Yep.
So you've got
Britney Spears.
Shaquille O'Neal or Karnak.
Okay.
And then we send it to you. Click on it, and it's going to open up a web browser like this.
Oh, so you just email the link.
Yep.
They touch the link. It opens the web browser. There you go. How about that? WBGO's got one.
We got dueling Opal apps. Yeah, there you go. And then hitting the connect button, and it does 15 kilohertz high quality audio with very low delay into this device, point to point. So there are other products that are out there that require that you go through a third server.
Right.
That can induce delay, and the audio quality might not be so good. Instead, you're actually going peer-to-peer. Each app, the Opus portal, if you will, and this web server, which is a web server, which is sitting in your studio.
Yeah. And typically, you're getting the Opus codec, right? That's the codec that's being used between points.
Yep.
What kind of bit rate typical connection? I mean, obviously, whatever's supported by the endpoints.
Right, and a lot of that's being driven by the web browser. The engine is inside the web browser.
Yeah.
And it's basically connecting to the server. So it typically starts out at Opus at 48 kilobits, and it can throttle or based on bandwidth, and it's doing some dynamic buffering, some other protect techniques as well.
So I would point out that for those folks who may, but what kind of quality can you get out of a cell phone? You know, these things are pretty amazing, and if you have a better cell phone, one of the typical late models that typically has 2 or even 3 microphones on it, they have some really smart circuitry, hardware and software that eliminates or severely reduces background noise and just lets you hear what's desired. And so now lately, when my wife and I both got T-Mobile phones that had the what's the
HD voice.
the algorithm?
HD voice.
Voice, yeah. I'm trying to think of the exact algorithm, though I can't think of it.
G.722 probably.
No, it's what's G.722.2.
AMR wideband.
And that's it. And thank you very much.
AMR
Wideband.
wideband.
So geeky.
And she's calling me. I'm answering the phone, and I'm saying, "Honey, where are you?" So I'm driving down the interstate. It sounds like you're in your office with acoustic foam around you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with AMR wideband, I can finally understand my wife's mumbling. So maybe
Is she watching this?
I don't know. I've said that to her. But that's so. The point is, it's good. The audio can be pretty good. So
and you can get really decent microphones for these things. Like on the iPhone,
yeah.
you can get a Shure MV88, which is a really nice microphone. You can adjust the pattern, and that's really, really good. It's a good sounding microphone.
How does it connect to the phone?
Through the lightning jack.
Really?
Yeah.
Shure MV88. Okay.
And it has a cool little piece of software that you can put on there, and you can change the pattern. You can actually record and edit into it.
Can I sound like Darth Vader? Does it change your voice?
There is a acoustic modeling program that you can download, or an app you can download. There's an app for that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So this is the Opal.
Opal.
And this allows people for VIPs, for reporters in the field.
Correct.
Can I get a link and just keep that link all the time?
You can. It can be evergreen.
Okay.
But if it's someone that you don't ever want on your station again, you can delete it. Not that would ever happen. But it's good for like Sunday morning barter talk shows where you don't want those people coming in with their crew into your beautiful control room.
Okay.
They can just send them a link and do it that way, and have a board op instead of them spilling coffee in your console.
Is there an ongoing cost if you've bought the gear?
Nope.
Okay. And for you engineers like me, what is needed or what's desired in terms of maybe a port forward to this thing? Is that important?
So one of the important things that you have to have is a static IP address.
Okay.
And you have to have a domain that you forward to that static IP address.
Okay. Right.
Because it's actually doing some SSL certificate exchange, and it's doing it in the background, third party, so you don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But you really need the web browser to exchange certificates with the web server, and that's why having a domain forwarded to this is really important.
Is over like a presidential quality secure connection.
It could be, yes.
Yeah. All right, cool. I mean, so you can talk to embassies and tell them to quit bombing or whatever.
You could.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yep. And I keep on putting it's crooked. So.
It's hard to do that,
especially when it's delayed.
Delayed,
so, we're getting this little weird video delay. Yeah. All right, so that's what we got.
That's awesome.
We introduced this at NAB last year. We've got a lot of these in the field. A lot of people are using them for celebrities, even weather reporters, anything that's outside of the building where they don't want to dedicate a ISDN, want to get rid of one of those. It's been a really handy product.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The Opal from Comrex. Check it out. Thanks a lot, man.
Hey, my pleasure.
Appreciate you being on.
Always nice. I'm going to get out of the way.
Okay, I'm going to turn your mic down so we don't... Thanks, man. All right, Jay Tyler is here with me as well. And so, hey, wait a minute. Chris, you showed the app, and it looked like it had the WBGO logo on it. Was that right?
That's correct. One of the features of the Opal is you can insert your own PNG file and customize the skin. Yes. Yeah,
so how does a jazz station use the Opal app?
I'm sorry, that's information I can't divulge. But I can tell you this: several hosts. No. Well, the way the jazz station uses it, we have a lot of guests for the music programs we have that can't get to the studio. And what we've done traditionally is tell them go to a local public radio station and we'll arrange for a studio time. And in many cases, it doesn't work out because the time zone they're in, sometimes in Europe, sometimes in Asia, or on the same coast you're on, there's nothing available. So we've decided to go in this direction. We've just started experimenting with it. The hardest part is getting people to understand, pressing the button, get the browser up, and go that approach, because they're expecting to do something else. But it works out. It works nice. It's so far installing it wasn't difficult at all. It works very nicely. And if you download the app, it's available on the App Store for the iOS. It makes it even more fun because then you could use the phone like a phone, not have to worry about a little headset. So there's a couple of ways to do it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Chris, look who's here with me now. It's Jay Tyler.
Oh, nice.
Good to see you, Chris.
Oh, it's a Vox Pro, man. It's good to see you, and thank you again for Club Wheat. It was very good. It was a lot of fun.
Stay tuned for next year's festivities.
I'm looking forward to it.
So what's working for the competition? I don't know much about Club Wheat. What can you tell me about that?
Chris, what's rule number one about Club Wheat? We don't talk about Club Wheat.
Of course not. Jay Tyler's here to talk about something that, it's kind of neutral ground. So it is the Vox Pro, which is, I just had my first Vox Pro experience as, I'm a small time engineer, right? Small town, small stations. And I know people in small stations have Vox Pros, but none of mine ever did. Right. And some of you know who pay attention to the show, I'm involved with a new radio station in Hawaii. And we've hired a morning man there. I'm not sure I can say the name, maybe, but anyway, he's had major big market experience. New York, Chicago, LA, and he saw pictures of the new studios in Hawaii. And his very first question was, where's my Vox Pro? So Jay Tyler, come on up here and let's get it close and tell us about, I've installed these for other people, sure, but not much. And so why are these so popular?
Probably because of the user interface. It's a great software application that was invented in the 90s. And pretty much it replaced all the tape. It replaced all the reel-to-reels and all the editing. It was the first hard disk non-destructive editor. And a lot of people don't think about the word non-destructive. The Vox Pro, once you have a track and we've loaded that into the system, I can manipulate it. I can insert beeps. We can cut. We can delete. We can bust the gaps. But I can always get back to that original file. So that's what we call non-destructive editor. And so that's why people like it. And so if you hear a telephone call on the air today, 99% chance it's going to be mixed or produced on Vox Pro. And the controller had a big part to do with it.
We'll talk about the features in a second, but right now, if you buy Vox Pro, there's the hardware controller, and then there's software that runs on a PC.
That's right.
Has it always been that, or has it ever been just a complete hardware solution?
The original system was Mac-based. Oh, and I think like the version 1 and 2.
That's right.
It was a Mac program written from Charlie Brown out of Seattle. And then I think about 99 or so that moved over to the PC world.
Right.
And it was a serial interface. So everything back then was a serial interface. The big new one has just basically a USB. So you can plug this into any USB computer for control.
So this controls the app, the application, the Vox Pro application, which is an audio editor, but it's finely tuned and designed for handling on-air phone calls.
That's correct. And that's what is his main device, and its general purpose in life was to do telephone calls. But as we started out with a telephone editor, and that was version 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, then people wanted to take it a little bit further. They wanted to do some background recording, which it does. Then they wanted to edit the caller itself. Because in the studio, we've got a really nice high-end microphone. Right. We've got a microphone processor. We've got the console. So we've got total control over our voice into one of the tracks. It's the cell phone caller, the guy on the other end, which we really had a problem with. And people were taking their files from Vox Pro and going over to Cool Edit or Adobe Audition to edit the caller.
Oh.
Because that was the variable. So your telephone call was basically the variable for the jock.
Yeah.
And so what we did in the latest and greatest is we took our M1 mic processor and dropped it in Vox Pro.
Okay.
So no more sneaker net. You can do everything on the same computer. So once we've laid down the call, we can go back to that call. We can apply presets to it. There's a de-esser. There is a compressor, and there's also an EQ. So with the presets, we can pretty much clean up any type of call that's coming into the system. And that's one of the newer things in Vox Pro.
So the obvious question for somebody like me who's still kind of new to Vox Pro, I'll be installing one, is so what's the biggest benefit of this over just using Adobe Audition and recording off your console? Maybe you have a record bus on your console. You record that, you do your editing, and you play it back. What's the big benefit of this?
Purpose-built.
Purpose-built. And you said muscle memory earlier.
Yeah, just like a guitar player.
Yeah.
When you think of somebody or any musician that's playing an instrument, when you watch a jock that has been using this for several years, it's all done by muscle memory. Sort of like the old days. Way faster than I can do it.
Yeah.
But do you remember the Orban Odyssey?
Yeah, sure.
That was the first digital editor. And when I would walk up and see like a young intern or somebody on that flying, they weren't looking at what they were doing. That was all done for muscle memory. And these board ops, they're used to reaching up, grabbing a fader, turning the switch on, and instant record on Vox Pro. And then when they're done, edit away.
Wow. All right. So on the Vox Pro software, that loads on an ordinary PC.
Yep. You want to buy any modern PC, and any modern PC runs Vox Pro. The biggest thing that I see customers running into is storage. Nobody wants to throw away any files.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
you just want to have a big hard drive attached to it.
I carry with me a 10 terabyte hard drive to do video editing. You can get big hard drives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, and on that PC, of course, you could use the PC's sound card or a professional sound card, or I would imagine it works with WheatNet drivers or Axia drivers, Ravenna drivers, whatever you want, audio in and out of the PC.
Any PC that'll take a driver, whether it's a Wave driver or a WMG driver, anything along those lines. Another popular way to get Vox Pro in and out is USB.
Oh.
Because if you're a Vox Pro user and you don't use a channel start stop or remote on off from the console, all you need is audio.
Yeah.
Maybe you can use a Dante driver as well. That stuff doesn't have carry control like we use in our normal day. So
right.
That's an option. So USB, sound card, or audio driver is the most efficient way to get the job done.
Awesome. Well, it's good to see you guys carrying on with Vox Pro. I guess you purchased the company a couple, 3 years ago?
Yeah, 2015 in October, we purchased it, and they were having version 5.
Okay.
And then immediately we tried to get the next release for NAB 2016.
Now, I remember these being kind of beige colored in studios, and this one's black. Any other differences?
No, this was, as I said earlier, this is my gift to the broadcast industry, and this was my big improvement to Vox Pro was just painting the controller black.
I'm looking for racing stripes. I want racing stripes and flame decals.
I got you covered for Hawaii.
Yeah,
no problem. No, we talk about
palm trees.
Yeah, palm trees. Little Kirk button here. You don't have to use the controller. There's some kids out there and younger people that have we have a software version only. Saves you the hardware, but it installs on a PC, and you can use all the necessary functions and effects you bring down to keystrokes. But most of the users are actually using the hardware controller.
Chris, you're in the big market there. You're in New York City. Market number one. I bet you've been in 100 studios that use Vox Pro.
I have installed many a Vox Pro, yes. The beige version, the early one, versions 1, 2, 3, and 4, all the way through, yes. I will say that when we did put the first Vox Pro in, wow, it was a long time ago, and replaced the reel-to-reel machines, at first the jocks were apprehensive and very concerned. That took about 24 hours. After that, the reel-to-reels were gone, the magnetic tape disappeared, and it became, can we get another one for production 2? That was a week later. 2 weeks later, can we get another one for production 3? And before you know it, we're now trying to figure out how to network these things, because now we had to shuffle audio between studios, because one guy produced something in one room, they needed to get to the other room, and then it became time crunching. So yeah, the early days of Vox Pro, it was definitely purpose-built. It definitely served a well-deserved purpose. I have to say, Jay and the gang at Wheatstone have done a nice job of bringing it to the future. Much, much easier to integrate to today's fast-paced multimedia studios.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Good. Jay, thank you so much for joining us, man. I appreciate it. Continue luck with Vox Pro. If people want more information, where do they go?
They can go to wheatstone.com and just click on the Vox Pro link, or call any one of your distributors. They've been selling the stuff for years.
Yeah. Okay. All right,
Thanks again for having me on, guys. Chris, take care. We'll see you soon.
Yes, Jay, be well.
All righty. Hey, we're going to take a quick break and hear from our friends over at Lavo, sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech, and we'll be right back with you.
There has probably never been a better time in history to buy a new radio mixing console. Today's consoles are more sophisticated than ever, with more features and functions than you can shake a stick at. But have you noticed how complicated they are? There's a sea of knobs and switches and displays and buttons. Some of them look like you might need a pilot's license to do your show. Well, a board doesn't have to be complicated to be powerful. Just look at the new Ruby mixing surface from Lavo. The first thing you notice is how smooth and streamlined it is. Ruby has lots of cool tech, but what it doesn't have is that confusing ocean of buttons that clutter things up. Now, we all know that there are some console features the jock only uses once in a while, so why dedicate controls to them? Ruby fixes this problem by moving those once-in-a-blue-moon controls to a touch-sensitive, customizable GUI that happily shares screen space with your other studio software, helping you fight control room clutter. Thanks to this design innovation, talent that use Ruby produce smoother shows with less errors. Controls that are used the most fall naturally to hand, while functions that rarely need adjustment are easily controlled with just a couple of clicks in the context-sensitive GUI. And Ruby has cool features you won't find on other boards, like Auto Mix, an intelligent gain writing function that guarantees the perfect mix for multi-mic morning shows and call-in segments. dual mode snapshots that instantly switch the motorized faders between on-air and production modes, and enough DSP and I/O options to make even your pro sound pals green with envy. And because quality is as important to Lavo as it is to you, every console is proudly built to fanatically precise standards at Lavo's own factory in Germany. If you're ready to declutter your control room, do yourself a favor. Check out the new Ruby and the other cool Lavo radio tech at www.lawo.com/TWiRT.
Thanks a lot to Lavo for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. Hey, we're back. We're live in Hollywood at the W Hotel in Hollywood, near Hollywood and Vine. I'm Kirk Harnack, and Chris Tobin is along with us as well. And he's in New York in his home office. Yeah. So we're doing... So, Chris, thanks for being here. I really appreciate you chiming in on so many of our shows, most of them. We've got a couple of amazing guys right here. We have Banana Joe. Is that right?
That's right.
Banana Joe. I'm gonna move your mic just a little bit. Right there. Banana Joe, and we have Michael Dalfonzo. Did I get that right?
Yep, you got it right. Two Italian boys.
That's right. That's right. I'm the odd man out here. The German Italian here. I mean the German Irish.
That's right.
So you guys are with a company that's got some. Well, I'm a little confused. So there's this thing called Synchronicity.
Yep.
And then there's this thing called Sync Harmony, and somehow I have become the owner of a product from Sync Harmony. It's an automation system that we put in our Hawaii station, and literally I had it installed in 10 minutes, and it making music. It was just amazing.
And when do I get that in-market visit to go make sure it's tuned up?
Anytime you want.
We both would like to go.
Yeah, I'm with you on the next.
That's right. Well, it is Dutch treat, but you might be able to deduct it. Talk to your tax professional.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Banana Joe, tell me about Banana Joe and what you do.
Synchronicity. I've been with Synchronicity almost 3 years. We've been developing the Sync Harmony system for the entire time I've been there. Basically, it was what dream of what every talent and program director would want in an automation system, and it's a wonderful thing because it brings the synergies of Synchronicity, which is a new system, a new platform. It's a satellite replacement. Picture what a satellite does: distributes shows, distributes programming.
Yeah.
What we do is we do it better. We do it cheaper, and we do it with better quality audio. Okay.
So you distribute programming. So you do a show.
I also do have my own channel
that gets distributed by Synchronicity. And
correct.
Isn't there
Flashbacktop40.com has been on the air since 2005 on the internet, and now we're going to FM radio around the country.
I think I have a piece of paper here about it. Is this
there
yours?
You go. Yes,
okay, right here. Flashback Top 40. Here you go.
Tune it in.
Flashback Top 40.
All the hits from the 60s to the 2000s.
So this
40 years.
This is on the one hand ready to go. On the other hand, it is customizable for my station.
You could customize it for Hawaii. It could be customizable for Toledo, or it could be a generic live from Hollywood show. That's the way I do it.
Ah, okay. All right. Now you have at least, I think there's another guy I know. I've seen him here at this convention that distributes his show via Synchronicity.
Yes, Scott Shannon. He has his format, True Oldies. He does that through Synchronicity. Also, Rick Dees, old friend of mine. We work together at KISS FM here in Los Angeles. Rick Dees in the morning.
Yeah.
And, of course, Rick distributes his stuff through Synchronicity. And to tell us about Harmony, the Vice President, Senior VP of Harmony's side, the Sync Harmony Company, is Michael Dalfonzo. Michael.
Hey, so Michael, good to see you, too.
Good to see you, too.
And Joe, hang around if you can
sure,
for just a minute. So, Sync Harmony, an automation system, and I was introduced to it by it's 1RU it's a computer that doesn't hardly make any noise at all.
Nope.
And amazingly, because everybody's worried about, wait a minute, it's got a hard drive in there. That hard drive's going to fail someday. And I just found out that
solid state,
it's
right?
backed up.
Oh, yeah. Well, the system actually has two drives. It's got a solid state drive, a 0.5 terabyte solid state drive.
What?
Yeah. That's where all the software lives.
Okay.
And then there's a 2 terabyte rotating drive that handles all the audio. But in addition to all that, everything's automatically backed up into the cloud. So all of your content is in the cloud.
Okay.
So if anything ever happens, and one of the cool things about our system is you don't have to buy anything. You don't have to own any hardware.
Well, I noticed that my business partner, Larry Fuss, who is very averse to writing big checks.
Yep.
Wasn't averse to Sync Harmony, and that was because he didn't have to write a big check.
No big checks at all.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you pay us a monthly fee, and
Yeah.
that covers everything. That covers the hardware, the software, the maintenance, the support, the updates, the upgrades, everything.
We don't charge for support and all that other nickel and dime stuff. It's all included. It's in there.
And I won't go into the exact monthly fee because that I understand may vary, but I know that we took our shareholders out for dinner in Hawaii, and we paid more than the monthly fee on Sync Harmony.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, easily.
Unless you've got like a half a shareholder, yeah.
So it was really affordable. Now, the other thing I like, and I can speak to, totally unfamiliar with it when I first saw this thing 2 weeks ago in Hawaii. Pulled it out of the box. Oh, what's this? This is your automation. Oh, okay, there's no sound card. I guess maybe it has Axia drivers in it. Okay. And Larry said, yeah, I told him to put Axia in it. Okay. Well, can I put it in the control room? Is it quiet enough? I plugged it in. Yeah, it's pretty quiet. Okay, I'll put it in the control room, have shorter cables to my keyboard, video, and mouse, right?
Yep.
So I put it in the control room, and I hooked it up to, I guess it had two network interfaces, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of guessed as to which one was business and which one was Axia network. I happened to guess right. I turned the thing on, go inside, set the IP address on the Axia network for what was going to fit with my scheme, brought up the Axia driver, which was already in it, set a couple of channel numbers. 10 minutes later, I had audio coming out of my console.
Absolutely.
And let's see, how many wires? I had power, keyboard, mouse, video, 2 network cables. So I had 6 cables going to the back of it, audio cables.
Right.
And perfect audio in and out of the thing.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And you know, since it's 2018, we don't use compressed audio files. We use all wave files.
Okay.
So the quality is superb.
Wave in, wave out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think we're the only company that's using the new Wasapi drivers from Microsoft. So we've got not only the best audio going in, but we've got the best audio engine built into the platform to generate really good quality audio.
So the other interesting thing, and I know there's, look, there's other automation systems right here on the floor, and they're all friends of mine. Everybody's got something that they do really well. And so, and at our stations, we've used a number of different automations: Rivendell and Audio Vault, Sync Harmony, Stork. I'm not sure what all else. But one thing that was pretty cool is that ingesting programs has sometimes been difficult.
Yep.
File names don't match up right. Things bomb out if your internet connection's wonky, and so my business, I'm not involved with that part of it. Larry Fuss, my business partner, does this, but he set it up to grab, I think it was John Tesh.
Yep.
And he said, I can't believe it. It just worked the first time.
Yeah.
So why does it work well?
Well, because the guy who designed our system, our system, has been on here for years.
Okay.
You know what I did is I took all the automation systems I've ever used and everything that made me mad about all those automations, and I fixed it all. So instead of having to have a separate program to ingest audio and bring in an FTP file and rename it and do all that, we built that all into the platform. So you just tell it, this file's coming in, I want it to be named this, I want it to go there. It drops into the folder, our system sees it and pulls it in. We do the same thing with music logs, traffic logs, etc. So all you have to do is finish your traffic log, save it to a folder, our system pulls it in, ingests it, you're done. And within half a second, it generates a missing copy report.
I don't want to put you on the spot too bad, but I do want to ask you, someday, could I just get Sync Harmony as a service in the cloud, maybe?
Probably,
someday.
Yeah, I think so.
I would like to be able to do that, and I'd like to install maybe some Omnia audio processing and send that to my transmitter site. Maybe take care of EAS somewhere.
Yep.
And I'd like to not even have any hardware at my station.
Yeah, well, I think that's something that's on the horizon.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking at that down the road.
Yeah, I think we'll go there. Okay.
Same time they have those new hologram TVs where there's no panel anymore. You just show up in their living room doing the weather. I mean, come on. By the way, Chris, how are the Yankees doing? Good? I hope. All right.
I think Chris is
They're
there.
doing
Chris,
well.
how are the
They're
Yankees
doing
doing? They're doing
No,
well.
I heard
All
you.
right.
Tell them I said
They're
hi.
well. New stadium, they're doing well.
An old New York boy here.
Love them.
So Chris, this whole world of automation, I mean, I've got involved with this back with Scott Studios. No, I mean, I was installing a smart system back in, 1991 or 90 or something like that, back when it was 8-bit audio. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
We're dating ourselves.
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah. Chris, what's been some of your experience with automations? And I'm amazed that hey, there's progress forward. Things are just getting better and better.
Oh wow! Well, if you talk early days of automation from the let's see, the DOS version of RCSs, what was that? The early one. There's a Scott Studios. There was the
Master
Smart.
Control.
There's a few. I can't think of the other one. DCS. Is that right? That sounds right.
We had
a few.
How about
Maestro.
How about TM Ultimate
Maestro.
Digital Studio 1990? I had these giant boxes brought into a station at WSA in Tampa.
Yep.
And they said, "This is your studio. This is the studio of the future."
And the boxes were
jukeboxes.
Yeah.
They were jukeboxes.
And you couldn't schedule two back to back in the same
Oh
jukebox.
my God!
Yeah.
What a train wreck! And then we had
That's
two of them. We had
disappointing.
one for the production room, one for the control room, and the jocks all wanted to walk out.
Oh man.
Give me my records, they said.
Amazing. Well, we're so glad you're here. People want more information on Sync Harmony. Where would they look?
They would look at the website sync-harmony.com.
SYNC.
SYNC.
Not kitchen sink, but synchronized sync.
Yep.
Sync-harmony.com.
Sync-harmony.com.
Okay.
And
Yep.
for mine, you just go to flashbacktop40.com, flashbacktop40.com, or bananajoe.co.
Oh, bananajoe.co.
That's easy.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
So such a pleasure to meet you
Thank you.
guys. Okay,
It's
guys.
a pleasure.
Hey, we got one more guest coming up, and if we can rouse him over here. Hey, Dave Kerstin. Oh, Dave.
Dave Kerstin. Here
We're
we
ready
go.
for you. Oh, you're busy. Okay, I'm sorry, Dave. Dave's busy. I want to get Dave on here because. Thanks, guys. What'd you do wrong now? You showed up. Are you there? Oh, wait a minute. There we go. How about that, Mike?
How's that?
That's perfect.
All right, perfect.
That's awesome. So this is like your booth is like the NASCAR car of product distribution.
It is.
These are all the sponsors right here. I want to say thanks to Dave Kerstin and BGS for letting me just totally take over their booth. Oh, come on in. Michelle King's here. Hey, why don't you walk around? Tell you what, walk around behind us. That way we won't get our cords crossed too. But you can get in the middle, unless you want Michelle in the middle.
I'll just look shorter.
There you go. No, you look taller. If you stand closer.
Oh,
then
that's it's the human zoom.
Step right up. Even
Okay,
more. There
all
you
right,
go.
there we
All
go.
right.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, gentlemen.
If you've just tuned in, we're at the Worldwide Radio Summit.
Say that 10 times fast.
Worldwide Radio Summit. That's hard. Worldwide Radio.
You web it.
Indeed.
In Hollywood at the W Hotel. And a lot of people who are anybody, I mean, they're all here as far as radio programming. A lot of people who
Programming,
are anybody.
yes.
All right. And Michelle is here, Michelle King with WideOrbit.
Hello.
And I want to talk to you in a second. And
Okay.
I want to thank Dave again for use. I wish I could turn the camera around. I really can't. We've just totally obliterated the BGS table here in favor of doing the show. So, Dave.
My wife would think that I
Thank you,
set
man.
this up if she looked at the paperwork. She's like, yeah, that's his style.
It's a dog's breakfast here.
Exactly.
So, Dave, actually, I had a couple of brochures here real quick. What is Bionic Director?
So this is visual radio.
Uh-huh.
Allows the talent to be filmed and then connects to Oasis. So we can do live streaming through Facebook,
Yeah.
Twitter, Snapchat, and have a one-on-one conversation with me, the talent, you, the audience, and then below you will be your friends who will also be on Facebook.
Yeah.
And you will a groundswell of either happiness or anger, depending on what the subject is.
So this is a great way to socialize your radio show, making it searchable and shareable
Yes.
and
Intelligent.
and searchable and shareable. Yeah.
Yes, and intelligent, and it works phenomenal with the Axia product.
Yeah, it does. In fact, right now it's the only product it really works with.
Yes.
And then there's the multi-object recorder, so you can actually edit what people say by touching their words.
Correct.
Which is like freaky, weird, cool.
Yes.
And then why is there a She Who Shall Not Be Named echo on this paper right here?
So if you want to communicate with your audience,
yeah,
and I'm at home on the couch when you're on the air,
yeah,
and I love what you say.
And you can talk back to me?
Exactly. I say, dear Alexa, tell Kurt he's darling. And it'll show up on the screen in front of you on your automation. And then we can go on a date.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is powered.
That's not awkward at all.
This is powered by Broadcast Bionics.
Correct.
And so they have written backends to Alexa and to Google Home.
Correct.
That further parse what a listener says.
Correct.
So you can say, Alexa, tell the studio I don't like that song, or tell the studio my name is Dan, and it will remember that your name is Dan. Don't everybody say Dan. That'll really be confusing to the on-air people. And we've demoed this on the show before, but it's pretty amazing stuff.
Yes, and they're using it in the UK on a regular basis. It allows you to communicate with your end user. I can't think of a better way to do it.
Awesome. Dave, thank you so much.
You got it.
More information is you go to the you can go to bionic.studio.
Correct.
Or not radio. Sorry, bionic.radio. Or you can go to
BGS.cc.
BGS.cc.
Correct.
All right.
Don't
leave. Unless you have to. Do you have to leave?
No, I don't have to.
Okay.
Michelle, I was just going to introduce the princess because she married a king.
I did marry the king. That's true. Yes.
That's right.
Michelle, see, but you haven't forgotten my name.
That is true.
Michelle King is with WideOrbit.
Yes.
So tell us what's happening at WideOrbit.
So I'm here featuring the radio suite. We have a suite of products that include automation, streaming, broadcast to podcast, on demand, and traffic. So they all integrate, they all talk to each other. And one of our newest features is that we make it really easy to be able to take your stream and it automatically will parse it up as your podcast.
Oh, okay. So stations can easily get on demand.
Indeed, without having to do a lot of recording and editing. It'll do it intuitively. And it interacts with the WideOrbit automation system intuitively as well.
Now, I'm sure your customers know, but something that not everybody knows, and sometimes I forget, is that WideOrbit also does stream distribution. Like you're a CDN, a content distribution network. So tell me about if somebody wants to stream their station and take advantage of the other suite of stuff you said. So what does that look like, streaming your station with WideOrbit? Well, I mean, do you need some equipment at the studio, maybe from Telos?
Yes. So we do work well with the Telos encoder. We also, you can do it through a PC if that's your preferred choice. You can use a single PC for multiple streams if that's your preferred choice.
That's actually what I do at my stations. But yeah, okay.
Yep. But the Telos device works really well as well.
And then we send that to you guys somewhere in the cloud.
So you sound it up to our cloud, and you encode it basically to us, and then we distribute it out to your listeners and the multiple, whether it's if you want it to be on Apple devices or Android devices, or even there's still Blackberries out there, believe it or not. I know, right? We can go to any platform there, and you can also track those listeners based on their platform. We also offer geofencing, so if you don't want to pay royalties outside your market area, we can geoflow.
Okay. What if I want a geofence like just to my city block where my station is?
Well,
I could really save some money, couldn't I? Maybe. No.
You should just put a.
Oh gosh. So with the suite that you're showing here, WideOrbit has always been such a beautiful UI. User interface for people to use. What are a couple things that people like about WideOrbit in terms of ease of use, easy to think?
It is. It's easy to use and it's easy to train your staff on. The other thing that we've done most recently, and what I'm demoing here, is that we've broken away the user interface from the audio chain. So in translation, what we mean by that is no longer do you have to have a computer that plays the audio be in the same box or even in the same city as where you have the users. So as long as you have bidirectional audio in real time, you could have a broadcaster in another city controlling the user interface and providing the audio, but you're actually terminating that from another place. Or in a facility where you have, Studio A and Studio B, both Studio A and Studio B can simultaneously be controlling the automation system, but the audio itself could even be coming from your server room. You don't have to all be on the same machine.
So I guess you guys are already doing like private cloud, and the future looks good for, I guess, what you might call public Amazon services and things like that.
Yes, for sure. We definitely are developing into that space. The other thing that we offer at this time is WideOrbit Mobile, AFR for mobile, and it is an iPad app. It's a native app that allows you to control your automation system. You can also do instant recording of audio and then put it in your playlist on the fly. And coming soon, you'll be able to voice track from the iPad.
Okay. All right.
With, of course, a microphone that you buy.
BGS, correct.
The world is just getting more convenient to, and I've been saying this for years. We want to be able to focus on creating good content. We want to focus less on twiddling knobs, things like that. I mean, talent just wants to do the talent. And engineers like me, I mean, sure, we love to twiddle knobs and make things, tweak things so they're the very best they can be. But we also want to, stop that and just let the talent do their job without them turning a knob in the wrong direction, because there are no knobs. They just have a simple interface. They do what they want to do, and it comes out great on the air. Isn't that a great world that we're working toward?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think it is. Better for everybody. Hey, Chris, you get any final thoughts or questions for Michelle or Dave?
No, they touch on everything perfectly. I mean, the world of automation delivery and CDNs and stuff has changed so much. You no longer have to. You can do one-stop shopping. Dave's company BGS can get you the parts you need, and then Michelle with WideOrbit, they have everything you need for the content creation delivery. So off you go.
Dave, Kerstin, you had one more thing you want to mention: the Voceware. What is Voceware?
We call it VClock.
VClock.
VClock, written by a guy out of the United Kingdom who happens to work for Bionics. But he's worked out for one of the U.S. customers on a touchscreen to have a dump button put on. He's using a 25/7 profanity delay, and it has a sweep hand, so it shows that it's building backups.
Now, wait a minute. My clock is like on a screen that's above.
You can use a mouse,
so
too.
I would have to throw something and hit the dump button.
It comes with a mannequin hand,
okay,
so you can throw it from any distance.
Maybe with a pole?
With a pole,
dump,
yes.
Like that?
Or a koala
like a selfie
bear.
stick only.
Yes,
Yeah.
a selfie. They're perfect, yes.
Okay, perfect.
So if you don't have it within reach, then you could actually use a mouse.
Okay.
So, and you'll have to catch it yourself and throw it at the screen.
Does it squeak?
It does squeak. So anyway,
Perfect.
so this is a live wire partner.
Okay.
Besides being harassed by Kurt. But anyways, just a cool concept. Customer needed it. They didn't even think about it, and they were like, "This would be kind of cool for the talent to go. Hey, I don't have any time delay built up yet. I better wait until this is ready to go again."
So the big UI, big user interface,
Right.
Clock, and important status things.
Yes.
Easily shown.
Doorbells, cameras, whatever. Pizza guys there,
Okay.
whatever.
Trapdoor.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Electrified the talent.
Oh my goodness. Well, I guess it's
I'm
back.
here to help. I'm from the government. Okay, so just
Michelle, thank you for showing up.
Thank
and
you.
being with us and putting up with us right next door to you here.
No,
Yes.
I appreciate you guys. It's been fun.
Dave, I can't
there's a
thank you enough.
geofence between us.
Geo-
So.
That's right. That's right. Chris Tobin, thank you for being there, buddy. I always appreciate you filling in your comments and your expertise too.
No problem. I enjoy it. It's always fun watching where you wind up, and the guests you have today were great. And we got to say, make sure Dave, you got to give Buck our best. Every time I see him in New York or traveling about, he's always doing something crazy. So I see it's your turn to do it with us.
Okay, you got it. I'll get to him, Chris. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot to our sponsors, the Telos Alliance at telosalliance.com. And thanks to Lavo at LAWO. That's lavo.com/TWiRT. Do the /TWiRT so they know that we sent you there, that you heard about it here. And it'll take you right to the radio products page, too. And the Telos Alliance Infinity of the show, the IP intercom system. All right, we got to go. Thanks to Suncast, our producer, for producing the show. Does a great job. Thanks to Andrew Zarian, the founder of the GFQ Network. Chris and I will be back next week. We do have a guest next week. So we'll see you next week on This Week in Radio Tech. Bye-bye, everybody.